Hi technicians, it's Jen from Draftline, and today we are very excited to welcome Premier Draft Beer Services to the Draftline family. Um, I think it's going to be a great partnership, and we're really excited to help you kick off the new business that you've gained. So what we're going to do today is talk about using the Draftline mobile application and also some finer points. Uh, Rick and Luke have provided all of you technicians with a wonderful brand list that has the distributors up at the top and all the brands that they represent in your areas beneath those. That is going to be your master list that you will make sure you clean everything in your areas you're responsible for on that list. So always refer to that. If you ever have any questions, your first go-to should be your supervisor, and you can always contact the Draftline team as well. But I would say internally, as you're learning your territory, your accounts, your brands, make sure that you turn to your supervisor in those instances. So diving more into the Draftline side of that equation with the brand and distributor relationship is that you need to realize that we are generating our billing from information that you are inputting into Draftline. So all the cleaning for every single line must be submitted through the Draftline mobile application. If you do not do that and you don't process the trip through Draftline, we're not able to collect for the revenue. So we must have new accounts added. We must make faucet changes every single time one happens, and that's where the brand changes. And in the initial stage, we're going to be populating all of our brands. It's a lot of work to do, but we're here to help you with that. And if you have, say, 20 faucets or more on that initial startup phase, get in contact with the Draftline Cloud Support team. Will help you get those in. And that's on the startup phase. After that, it would be very rare for you to have, tens and tens of faucet changes. So we're here to help you through that. But also remember, on the next date of service, you cannot leave a brand in Draftline if it's no longer there. We want to back it out. So we'll cover all those things. So let's start diving into the mobile application. You will go to either the Android Google Play Store or the Apple iOS App Store. Download the mobile application, and you will have to input your work email address and your password, which will be on our startup paperwork. And I highly recommend that you guys keep that with you in your vehicles or on your email, because it will save you a lot of time losing your password and all that kind of stuff. So you will log in, and you also need to allow Draftline access to your location services. And so click allow twice. There's going to be two pop-up boxes that happen. And then you'll be logged in and you should see your routes. The routes in the service center has already been created within Draftline. So when you go in right away, you should see your trips. If you are a veteran technician and you see any issues with your routes, please contact us right away. We have a form called a route change form, one per day, and any changes on those need to be emailed to support@draftlinesmartsystem.com. For permanent route changes, we will always go back to Rick and Luke to get approval, so keep that in mind. We're still working very closely with them. So let's move into our first line cleaning. This is what we call the trips page, and these are just all of your line cleanings scrolled in order. We can always adjust by date. If we click this and up on the calendar, you can choose which date you prefer to see. And you click OK, that will pop you forward to that date. Now, you're going to use that as you vet the routes, but we have several tried and true Draftline rules. Number one is never working off day for a billing service center. So whatever is scheduled for today, that is what you should be working on. If for some reason this information does not look correct, you have to contact us and we need to get approval to move what you are working on. There are many reasons for that. The main thing is that we need all the cooler stickers to match all the dates of service in Draftline, and because you are a billing service center, that flows into how we account for all the faucet service. So always work on day. If you do not, you will be hearing from us. So first one, we're going to click into the Town Pump Tavern. This is what we call the overview page. So there's a Google generated photo up top, and I'm not sure if this is pushed to your service center today, but certainly by Thursday it will be. You can get directed. It has the date and time that the line cleaning is scheduled, not the date and time that you have to do it, but we do want it on that day for sure. The trip title, which is line cleaning. If the phone number has been uploaded, you could swipe to call, and also all of the technicians associated with this trip. Now, right here next to my name, you're going to see this little alien icon. That means I'm the foreman and I'm responsible for the checkout options, and we'll cover that as we get to the end of the trip. So I'm working on iOS, so I'm navigating from my bar at the bottom of the screen. If you have Android, it will be up at the top. So I'm going to click on the next page, and that is tasks. So now every time we get to an account and we hit the parking lot, that is when we check in. Before we unload all of our stuff, before we go into the account, we check in when we get there, because that is when the actual service time starts. We are going to now be moving into real-time compliance reports with the distributors and brands that we represent, and also time accounting reports that can be sent to either the client or the distributor. So to avoid the 60-second service time or 30 seconds, we always have to check in when we get there. And it's very good time accounting for Rick. So bottom right, you see this green circle with the arrow. We're going to click that. That will turn blue. That means the clock is ticking on this particular trip. So always check in when you arrive at an account. Check out after you collect the signature, after you leave, okay, when you're all loaded up, so the service is totally completed. So now up the top, you'll always see the safety first guidelines. Gloves and goggles, people, and pH paper, hopefully. But gloves and goggles, always an ounce of prevention equals a pound of cure. Let's go into the line cleaning bubble. We're going to click on the gray bubble, and these are going to be your line cleaning checklist. This is the type of system that we have on record at this account. For Premier, we did not have a lot of the system builder information, but 76% of systems out in the field are direct draw. So if you have a glycol system or an air-cooled system, please make a note of that so we can go in and fix that. And if something looks very off, even with the station or tower or faucet count, if you send us a text when you arrive on site before you get the chemical pumping and break your faucets down, usually we can have that fixed and updated if you refresh your screen by the time you go to enter your faucet survey. So keep that in mind. We'll fix those on the fly over the first 2 weeks of service. So for line cleaning, regular maintenance is the first box you're going to click always, and always the first 4 steps, whether you're using a static pressure pot or recirculation method. And mostly we will be using the static method, I'm sure. So if you happen to use the recirculation pump, you would check this box here. You will never do both, but regular maintenance and static. And if you are using the acid cycle as well, you would tick that box. The vast majority of line cleanings are regular maintenance, static, and you're done. So every time you input check marks into DraftLine or anything into DraftLine, as far as brands or photos, you need to send those items. So in this instance, the way we send these check marks back to the dashboard is this circle, the green circle with the check mark. We click that, that sends it back to the dashboard. And right here, you'll see partially completed. That's only a visual indicator for you. You're never going to perform all those steps on a line cleaning. So that's just so you can see, okay, I've done this already. I don't have to go back through all the screens. Now moving forward to the faucets. This is very, very, very critical that we get this correct. Excuse me. First 4 steps, or I'm sorry, all of the following are completed. You're always going to verify that, saying that you took the faucets apart, cleaned them, soaked them, brushed them, put them back together in good order. Now, this system under here, or at least the faucets, the numbering starts over with every single tower. So you will see this is 2 towers. The first tower has 1, 2 faucets right here, and the second tower has just 1 faucet. Now, if you went into an account, and there are some that you will, where you clean all the faucets, you're simply going to all the faucets on all the lines, you're simply going to click apply to all faucets. Many times you will go in and you are not going to be doing that. And this is where we need to talk about doing our faucet survey bartender view, far left to far right. So bartender view left to right, and we'll talk about this in the startup meeting as well. Everything in draft should be labeled left to right. This includes our brands. And every time we're looking at a tower, just as the bartender would, we start taking our survey from left to right. Now in this instance, you're just looking purely at faucet numbers, and you always will. So did I clean line number 1? Yes. Did I clean line number 2? Yes. Did I clean line number 1 on tower 1? No. So we're going to leave that empty. So we'll talk about this more, but as the brands populate, and you'll see the New Belgium Fat Tires down here, on your first date of service, you're not going to have any brands in this section. On your second date of service, when you go in on the second cycle, you will see the brands have populated here, because every time you enter a faucet change, which we'll go over on the next page, that will update, but there's going to be a delay because we're vetting that information as it comes in. So on this particular page, I just want you to remember, regardless of the brands, you're going left to right bartender view on the number on the faucet and verifying, did I service this? And this page is important because this is what generates some of our billing. So I just need you to be very cognizant of that. So we have input what lines we have serviced and what faucets we have serviced. And at the bottom right, we're going to click the green circle and send that back to the dashboard. Now, under the system page, to kind of expand on what we had talked about on the previous page, when we go in to enter our brands, sorry, I totally clicked the wrong button there. When we go in on our faucets page, we want to, on the system page, we want to make sure that we scroll across right to left in this section to populate the brand. So when we don't see anything there and there's actually a brand there, we need to account for that. And right here, we'll slide right to left, click on the pencil. On Android, it's up in the open, so it'll be easier to see. And here in the brand, let's say we do Coors Light. So all of your brands will be populated. All of your distributors that you clean for will be populated. You type in the first 3 letters, click on Coors Light, then click Next at the bottom right. If you know the distributor, go ahead and put it in. If you do not know the distributor, do not put anything in. Again, we will be checking this. If we see mistakes, we'll let you know. But there is no reason why the brand should not be in this box for each and every technician. Now, this is a brand we clean for. We're going to click OK. That's going to send the faucet request back. Let's say on faucet number 2, we don't clean that line. We're just going to put open for all of our competition. Okay, so you click on that, and then no distributor. So in instances where you clean, you're going to enter the brand and the distributor if you know it, and in this case, obviously, this would be CDC. Okay. And then if it is not a brand that we clean for, you're just going to put open, because we want to document how many lines are in the locations. And this also distinguishes between where we're tracking and where we're not, and lets us know, hey, there's another line in here that we could pick up eventually, but it's not one that we're cleaning currently. So I think that's relatively easy to understand. Again, we'll cover it more at the startup meeting. Now, on the next date of service, when you go in, faucet 1 and faucet 2 on tower 1 will have the brands that you have entered this time. Let's skip to tower 2 and pretend we're going in for our second cycle of service and that the New Belgium Fat Tire is no longer there and this has changed. So we'll go over here, click on the pencil, and we're going to back this out. And let's say this all of a sudden is Michelob. So we type in the first letters, click on Michelob Light, next, and then if you know the distributor, I'll put in Anheuser-Busch, then you put it in. If you don't know the distributor, you click that. And again, this is exactly where you refer to your brand list that you're provided by Rick and Luke. So you click OK, and that faucet request is off and running. And again, this will update before you're out for the next date of service. So this is where I need you to understand that we're going numerically left to right, and the brands are going to populate, and then the brands are going to be changed. So this can change, but the way you let us know changes happen are by the function of this faucet edit request. So every time you go into an account, you're going to run through bartender view left to right, update everything. Okay? So again, we'll cover that at the meeting. And open for any competitive brands that we're not billing for. As well, here under notes, this is where you can send a note. Every time you go into service an account and they refuse service, we must have a note in this section. Too busy for lunch is a great example. And every time you input something, again, you've got to send it. So you hit the paper airplane, off and running. Then also, photos of the cooler stickers. We love to have photos of the cooler stickers. So we're going to take a photo. We're going to click Use Photo. And then again, paper airplane. You have to send it always. So it will take, a couple minutes sometimes for those photos to upload based on your signal. I've got full signal here today, so it's pretty fast. You can also choose a photo from your camera roll. And that is useful for when you're in walk-in coolers. So just remember, we want pictures of the signed cooler stickers and send them. Always hit the paper airplane. So once you've taken your faucet survey, entered your notes, then you are just going to go to the expenses tab and we're going to grab a signature. So you go to the tab with the $sign, you click on the pencil, that should bring up the box. You want the person providing the signature to enter their name here, or you can enter it for them. You click success. At the very bottom of the screen where it's gray, that's where they're going to sign. And up at the top right, you click done. That is going to then transpose that image back to the dashboard. Depending on your signal, it takes a little bit of time to upload, usually 5 to 10 seconds. We always get a timestamp. It can be a little bit sensitive to your signal, so we'll just work with that as we go, but it's quite reliable. It's just depending on the upload time. So you grab your signature, and then you're going to go back out to your vehicle. After you have completed your service, wiped everything down, grabbed your signature, done your faucet survey, loaded everything up on your vehicle, you're then going to go back to the tasks page, which is this page, and you're going to check out. And the way we do that is we click on the blue button and we just stop the timer this way. So we're hoping that 92% of your trips are going to be completed. Partially completed, and this is setting the trip status, and this is what the foreman's doing, and I discussed that in the beginning of the video. So completed 92% of trips. Partially completed really will only be for large venues and accounts that maybe take 2 days of service, although in this instance we don't have any of those, and no work performed. And let's talk about what no work performed is. It's a special status that 5 to 7% of trips in all service centers fall into. It's where you as the technician showed up to do your service, but for whatever reason you got turned away. So whenever we get turned away, we need to have a note, and that's going to be back in that note section. We want to ask why. If at all possible, we want to have a signature of the person refusing service. And I realize that sometimes that's not possible, but in the majority of cases it will be. So in the case of this trip, we're going to mark this one as completed. This will go back to the trips page and it will update appropriately. So you'll see the green color coding. For instance, let me just check in and out of this national CONI really quick and show you what no work performed looks like. Back to the trips page and you'll see it's color coded. So as you go throughout the day, this will update in real time. One thing to keep in mind, if we add trips or take trips away, you need to refresh your screen by pulling down with your finger on the screen. That will contact the server and update your mobile application. So sometimes we'll make changes. If you don't see those changes post when we say that they have, you definitely want to refresh your screen. Another quick tip on your system builder page when you're adding faucets, editing faucets, sending in brand changes. Under Tower, right here, so you see the glycol system, the main bar, Tower 1. If you need to add faucets to a tower, and I only recommend this on startup if it's 1, 2, 3, 4. If it gets to be more than that, contact us. But take your finger on the tower bar, slide right to left, you'll see a plus sign pop up. And again, you can go ahead and enter the brand. Let me just do Budweiser here. Next, in the distributor, click on that again, next, and click OK. That sends it off. That will add the faucet to the far right of the tower. So it will then become faucet number 3 on your next date of service. Again, you're not going to see all these things in real time. They'll update after we have vetted it on the dashboard and accepted all the information in. So on the fly, if we need to change any of the system builder information, remember to text us when you get on site and we can help you with that. We did not have a lot of good system builder information going into this startup, but we're definitely here to help. So make sure you contact the support desk. Text always works really well for us. If you find yourself out on your route and you get lost, that's when you call me. You will all have my cell phone number and we'll be able to get in contact and get you rolling. If I don't call you back right away, it's just because I'm in a meeting. So the main things I want you to take from this, we have to track all the faucets we're billing for. If we don't, we do not get paid. We have to track all the minutes and hours that we're working, checking in when you arrive, checking out when you leave. That gives us good time accounting, and we're going to be sharing that information with our customers and our distributors. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Keep your login startup paperwork with you. Keep your route change forms with you, one for each day, emailing any changes to support@draftlinesmartsystem.com. And as always, we'll cover all this in the startup meeting, and we can't wait to get working with you guys. Thanks so much and have a great day. See you at the startup.